Good morning, students. Today we discussed the second PU syllabus, a sixth unit, reproduction. In that first chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. Dear students, last year in first PU we studied what the characteristic of living organisms. That is different living characters of an organism like growth, movement, stimulus to external stimuli, response to external stimulus, reproduction, a lifespan. So these are all certain living characters of organisms. In that, reproduction is also one of the living character. So as we know that the reproduction is nothing but it is a biological process in which the organism produce young ones. The young ones is nothing but offspring. So these offsprings, which are similar to their parents, are similar to parents. So here are similar to those what those are living organisms. So why it is a biological process? It is occurred only in the living organisms. As like those living organisms, they produce their young ones. Those young ones are similar to itself, are similar to parents, are similar to itself. Got it? So at the time of reproduction, what they produce, their young ones, they are similar and they continue their race. That race continued from one generation to another generation. So that is, reproduction is nothing but continuity of those organisms. This reproduction is also a vital process. Reproduction is a vital process. It is also occurred that is in the living system. Isn't it? So as one of the lifespan, the lifespan is also one of the living character, as we know that. That is, the lifespan of different organisms is different. So that is before just what that is lifespan. So the lifespan is the period between birth to natural death. The period between birth to natural death is called as lifespan. The lifespan is also one of the living characteristic of an organism. So as the lifespan of every organism is same or different, that is different. So as even the lifespan, it is not depend upon the size of the organisms. It is not dependent. If sometimes the organism size is same, but the lifespan is different, because a crow, the lifespan is, that crow is nearly 20, isn't it? As like a parrot, if it is maybe same size of those, the lifespan of parrot is more than 140 or 150 years. Here, both crow and a parrot, the size is little bit similar, but the lifespan is a great variation. It is different. So even though not only animals, in plants also, a mango tree which has short lifespan, but a banyan tree or a peepal tree, another one, a peepal tree, it is also a little bit more. So even peepal tree it is less while we compare to banyan tree. So that is the thing, but the lifespan, it is not depend upon their size, but the lifespan of different organisms is different. Got it? So as like the lifespan is, it is nothing but the period present in between birth to natural death. It is not the death occurred by different causes. Different causes. Got it? So that is only natural death, birth to natural death only. So as the reproduction, it helps to a continuity of a living organisms. Continuity of a living organisms. So these, in which the reproduction is one of a complex process. Reproduction is complex process. Reproduction is, it is little bit slow process while we compare to, means that is what the two types of the reproduction. So you know that what are the two types of reproduction? Types of reproduction. That is first one, asexual reproduction. Second one is sexual reproduction. So these, the two types of reproduction based on involvement of one organism or two organisms. The reproduction is of two types based on involvement of one organism or two organisms. So these are of two types, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction, what the particular word says in the living organism, that is particularly meant for animals. While the asexual reproduction, it is mentioned as in plants, that is what we are called as vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. So we discussed that that vegetative reproduction is also a type of asexual reproduction. So just we discussed that is the first asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? The asexual reproduction is nothing but the offspring produced by a single organism. In that single organism, with or without involvement of gamete formation. With or without involvement of gamete formation. Such process called asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, the offspring produced by involvement of a single organism. So primitively it is the reproduction is a two-types, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction, that is based on involvement of one organism or two organisms. So in that first one, asexual reproduction, in which the offspring produced by a single organism, that single organism either formation of with or without gamete formation. Got it? Such phenomenon or such process what we are called as asexual reproduction. So these asexual reproduction, it is occurred all either lower organisms, or lower plants, or even certain higher. Isn't it? So those are of different types of process are there, different types of asexual reproduction are there. So based on that is what the asexual reproductive structure type. Formation of asexual reproductive structures like either spores, like either buds, like either formation of two cells in a single celled organisms. Got it? So we discussed different types of asexual reproduction. So here, primitively, in small or unicellular organisms, the asexual reproduction either by cell division. The single-celled organisms like either yeast, either paramecium, either amoeba, isn't it? So like such organisms, they are divided by even cell division. That cell division by that is fission. The cell division by fission. Fission is nothing but at the time of a cell divide, sometimes a fissure is formed, a small fissure is formed. By that fissure is that is grow inwards. That is the cellular material is divided to form two cells. So like by that example, that is one of that binary fission. So the binary fission, it is occurred in euglena. So at the time of euglena, a small fissure occurred here. By that, it leads to formation of the two organisms. Slowly, by fissure occurred here. Here, it is that fissure is deeply divided. These organisms which produce two cells. So after slowly it is divided, it leads to formation of two bodies of euglena. So as in the binary fission, the single celled organism, it is divided equally to form two cells. Those two cells which grow, which develop, which maintain its two individuals. Like these, in the binary fission, it is occurred in single-celled, even protozoans. Got it? So like those organisms, the binary fission occurred in which there is fissure occurred, the organism divide two cells, those two cells are maintained, which developed as new individuals. As like the next, that is multiple fission. Multiple fission, it is occurred in Plasmodium, even occurred in amoeba. These multiple fission which is occurred even in the amoeba, the binary fission is also occurred in amoeba. Amoeba also maintain binary fission. These amoeba which maintain multiple fission at the time of the organism which is present in unfavorable condition. For example, an amoeba which is present in a favorable condition, at the time it maintains binary fission. If sometime that amoeba which is present near to unfavorable condition, or it is in unfavorable condition. So at the time of unfavorable condition, there is formation of a cyst is formed. Cyst, that is nothing but a hard layer which is formed around the organism. Around the organism, it is called cyst. The phenomenon called encystation. Encystation. So during encystation, what it is, the organism in which surrounding the organism or surrounding the amoeba, there is formation of a hard layer called cyst, or the phenomenon called encystation. Inside that encystation or cyst layers, there is presence of an organism. These organisms, it leads to formation of a number of spores. A number of spores are formed. These, the cyst layer which is break down at the time of when the favorable condition is reorganized. Once the favorable condition is arise, automatically the breakdown of these cysts, the new organisms which are released. Any organisms. As like here, what the presence of entire living material, it leads to formation of that is number of spores are produced. Got it? So that is also what we are called as the living organism, that is amoeba divide to produce number of organisms which grow as a new individual when the favorable condition is reorganized. Next, sporulation. Here, sporulation, it is nothing but a number of spores formed by spore mother cells which are present in the sporangium. For example, in rhizopus, a rhizopus is one of a fungal member. In these fungal member, in which there is presence of, that is sporangia, sporangiophore, rhizoid. So in which presence of a number of spores. So these spores which fall on earth at the time of breakdown, a number of spores which are present inside the sporangia which fall on the favorable condition. In that favorable condition, so these spores which is generated as a new individual. So while generated spore, germinated spore. These germinated spores, which once again it leads to grow. After germination, they grow as a new hyphae. Those new hyphae which grows and developed. After development, they once again they produce like these sporangios, which produce a number of spore bodies. Got it? So by this way, a single organism which produce a number of organisms by producing spores, such entire phenomenon what we are called sporulation. Okay. After budding, So here a bud is exogenous growth on surface of organism. Example, yeast, hydron, even a peripheral called cycon. In cycon, the bud which grows on the surface of body, it is only the body, but it is substratum. Substratum. On the substratum, these cycon which grow aquatic condition, especially in the marine water. In marine water, the cycon body which grows on the substratum, so they produce small birds. These small birds which grow, which develop after that, which detach from the parental body, which separate from the parental body. After separation, these birds which grow as a new individual, which grow as new individual. So even in the hydra, a small bird which grow on the external surface. After development of the bird which detach from the parental body, these bird which grow as a new individual. So even in the yeast, a parental cell of yeast which produce a small bird. See, a parental body which outgrows a small exogenous bird. What the nuclear material present in a single-celled organism? It is divided. That nuclear material is shared to, that is the bird. After complete sharing the nuclear material, these bird which detach or separate from the yeast or that parental body. So these birds which grow as a new individual. So like by these phenomena which are occurred in the budding process of asexual reproduction, how they are reproduced, involvement of a single organism. So as we know that these types, what the reproductive structures reproductive structures which shared, that is the genetic material from a single parent. Got it? So as all the offsprings produced by asexual reproduction which are as like as their parents. Even what the offsprings of asexual reproduction, all the offsprings are, that is same. Why the same means? Those are all organisms which get the nuclear material from the single organism. From the single organism. There is no change of genetic material. Got it? So that's why what those organisms which are called as, that is clones. The offsprings of asexual reproduction are called as clones. That is, a clone is nothing but the offsprings obtained by asexual reproduction are morphologically and genetically similar to their parents. The offerings obtained by asexual reproduction process, which are morphologically also same. The external features of parent body, the external features of offspring is also same. Not only morphologically and also genetically. What the genetic constituent, that is the DNA material, that is the genes which are obtained from or which are shared by a single organism. So that's why what we are clone is nothing but those offsprings obtained by that asexual reproduction are morphologically and genetically similar, as like as their parent, similar to their parents. So that is what we are called as clone. So like another method of these asexual reproduction conidia form. Conidia are structures formed on free end of hyphae or mycelia. Free end of hyphae or mycelium. So, as we seen in Aspergillus, penicillium, a fungal bodies Aspergillus, penicillium, in which there is growth of So it is conidium. Conidiophore. Hyphae. Penicillium. So on the penicillium of hyphal body or mycelium body, the free heads, they possess a number of conidiophore. There is organization of conidia. These conidial bodies, when they are detached, when they are spread, when they are released from the conidiophore, they fall on favorable condition, that is nothing but moist condition. So because the moist condition only, these fungal bodies, they require warm condition and moist condition. When they fall on moist, they germinated as a new fungal body, that is either mycelium or either in the aspergillus. So there is the conidia formed. These conidia are the asexual reproductive structures. Conidia are asexual reproductive structures. Got it? As like another method, that is juice pores. Juice pores are motile. So because in Chlamydomonas, the juice pores which are formed on the Chlamydomonas cells the juice pores are the motile spores which formed in Chlamydomonas, while after maturation of the cells of Chlamydomonas in algal bodies, so while these spores which are fall on favorable condition, the juice spores are also which develop as a new individual of those organisms. So like certain algal bodies which are also maintained to formation of juice pores, they reproduce asexually. Another one, gemule. Gemule is a dormant bud formed inside the body. Inside the body. So these dormant bud-like structure which formed inside the body at the time of formation, there is even chitinous layer formed in bryozoans, or even there is formation of a certain spicules. The spicules which cover this structure So inside that there is formation of a number of spore-like structures, a number of cell-like structures. These cells are called as archaeocytes. At the time of complete maturation and when it is present in the favorable condition, these which released from the ostule, or even it is called micropyle. So it is the spicules present in the cowling sheath. So it is a structure of gemule. So by gemule formation, also certain organisms they reproduce asexually. So after another one method, that is fragmentation. Fragmentation. Fragmentation is nothing but it is also occurred in fungal members. It is also occurred in animals like planaria. As that is the phenomenon in the planaria, that is what we call regeneration. So these fragmentation is nothing but, for example, a single organism which divided number of parts, each and every part which developed as a new individual. So that is nothing but in the planaria, it is divided to fragments. These two fragments the growth is occurred where there is the broken parts. The broken parts are which once again grown where the last part is regenerate. This process is also occurred in starfish regeneration, that is what's the last part of any arms which grow once again. So like here in the fragmentation at the time of divide or that is breakdown of these organisms that is in the planaria, the broken parts of two which grow as a two individuals. So it is once again as it grow as a two individuals. So it is a process what we call it as fragmentation. The fragmentation is also occurred in the fungal members. In any hyphae, it is breakdown into a number of pieces, each piece which grow as a new individual. So like the different organisms in which the asexual reproduction is occurred by like either fragmentation or what we are regarding all the different types of asexual reproduction. So these asexual reproduction, so what we have discussed that is in the animals, while in plants, what we call it as that is vegetative reproduction. It is also called as vegetative propagation. So asexual reproduction, it is particularly called in animals. Why that asexual reproduction particularly in plants? Because it has, that is vegetative reproduction, or that is vegetative propagation. So what is vegetative propagation? A part of plant which is able to produce whole plant, any part of plant. For example, a leaf which is able to produce entire plant, a part of stem, a part of root which is able to produce entire whole plant, that is up to roots to leaves, both root system and shoot system. That process, that phenomenon, what we are called as vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. A part of plant used to multiplication of individuals. Multiplication of individuals. Such phenomenon called vegetative propagation. Such part called vegetative propagule. So that part, what we are called as vegetative propagule. Vegetative propagule. So these vegetative propagule which is able to produce, which is capacity to produce whole plant. So that is what we are called as a part of plant capacity to produce whole plant or whole plant body is called vegetative propagule. Is called vegetative propagule. So these, based on these vegetative propagule, that is what either root, either leaf, either stem, either even that is a different part of a plant, that is like bulbils. Got it? So we discussed the different types of these vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation by roots. Vegetative propagation by roots. As example, tuber. That is in potato. So as in potato, there is presence of a small eye-like spots. In that eye-like spots, there is growth of buds. These birds which grow as a single individual, each eye which consists bud, which are called as even adventitious buds. Adventitious buds. What are adventitious birds? The bird grows other than axils. The bud grows other than axil of stem. Axil of stem. So that buds, what we call as adventitious buds. So even that is in the potato, the buds originated from the eye-like spots in which there is presence of adventitious buds. These adventitious buds, each and every adventitious bud which grow as a new individual. As like even ginger, that is part the pot, what we call it as, that is rhizome. So in the rhizome, there is presence of small buds, got it? So which grow as a new individuals, got it? After vegetative propagation by stems, in the stem, underground stem, subaerial stems, aerial stems. Vegetative propagation by stems, like the different stems, like underground stem, last the roots, that is little bit change. Underground root array, that is by sweet potato. So here that is the pure rhizome. Subaerial stem, that is runner, sucker, offset, stolen, like different. So just to change it, underground root, that is in sweet potato. In sweet potato, there is growth of a small buds or roots. So here in tuber, rhizome, both are underground stem. Those underground stems which used to reproduce vegetative propagation. In subaerial stems, chrysanthemum, offset, icornia, aerial stem, opentia. So in opentia, and subaerial stems, that is runner. In that runner, the grass which grew as a on the surface of soil. Even you see in that is sucker like mint plant. So it is also grows on horizontal on the earth. So at the time of every node, there is presence of growth of roots. Even there is birds. So these birds which grow as a new individual. So in Eichhornia, it is one of the aquatic plant, a dangerous aquatic plant. It is also reproduce rapid rate. So nearly the Eichhornia or water hyacinth which reproduce within 7 days once. Within 7 days, a plant which produced by these as rapid reproductive rate, it completely cover the water surface. What the aquatic plants and aquatic animals present in that water, which face lack of oxygen problem because it drains more oxygen from the water. Hence, it is also called as a terror of Bengal. So, because rapid rate of reproduction, rapid drains the oxygen, it will damages entire aquatic plants and aquatic animals. So another, that is vegetative propagation by stem, by the aerial stem, the opentia. It is one of the terrestrial mode. Here, the stems are modified, which has a green photosynthetic stem. The stem is modified for photosynthesis. On that stem, there is absence of leaves. The leaves are modified into spines. These stems which break down or which detach from the parental body, those which grow once again a new individual. So even each and every piece of these stem piece which grow as a new individual, which grow present above the earth, hence it is called aerial mode. Like underground stem, subaerial stem and aerial stems. Vegetative propagation by leaves. Vegetative propagation by leaves. Example, bulb. Bryophyllum. Bulb ಬಂದು ಅಂಡರ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Adventitious burden. So in bryophyllum leaf, every notch the matured leaves, when they fall on soil, the buds are grown on notch of these margin of leaf. A number of notches present in the margin of leaf, each adventitious buds which are also developed as new individual. So like in the bryophyllum, the vegetative propagation by leaves. So say the vegetative propagation by bulbil. Example, IU. So bulbils which are formed in the inflorescence, certain flowers of inflorescence, the lower flowers of inflorescence, which developed as a structure called bulbil, which are present completely developed in the inflorescence. So after what they are matured, the bulbils in the inflorescence part, they are withered, they are fall down. So each bulbil which grow as a new individual, as you see, it is in the annual plants. So in present time they are withered, they are fall down. The structures what were called as bulbils. So those each and every bulbil which grow as a new individual. So it is a vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation in plants. Students, next we discuss the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. So today we complete asexual reproduction in the chapter that is reproduction